What's up, everyone? Hope everybody is all good. A video today, I want to talk about, I'd say, three of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people are making, and three of the biggest reasons why you're probably not seeing the results that you want in the gym. Now, this is coming from what I see in the gym on a day-to-day basis. And when I'm in there, again, you're just scoping around. And then number two would be what I see from new clients who I onboard when they come to me. I always ask, what have you been doing in the past? And these are some of the common pitfalls that a lot of people go down. And once we fix that and we get these fundamentals, once we fix this, everything just goes a lot smoother. So three big things that everybody tends to be messing up on, right? So number one, first one, everybody just tends to do too much work. Everybody is doing too many sets in the gym. In a session, everybody thinks that more is better, and we've been conditioned. There's a lot of influencers and researchers in the space who try and say more volume is better, all this sort of stuff, and everyone just wants to come in the gym and hammer themselves into the ground. But there is a point of diminishing returns with that and the amount of set numbers that you're going to do in a session. You know, it's pretty common for someone. I've had people coming to me and they're doing 30 sets in a workout. You see it when you look around the gym. People are just doing endless sets of nonsense with 1 minute rest in between. They're bouncing in between machines, and there's no focus on any sort of intent or intensity on what they're doing. It's just a case of we're just doing more work, more work. But when that work is just shit quality, it makes no sense. So first thing is that people are just doing too much work. Now, in terms of set numbers, what is classed as too much? For me, if we're coming from a hypertrophy standpoint, if we're trying to build muscle tissue or retain muscle tissue, you need to look at the amount of quality sets that you're going to do for a muscle in a session. I personally think, and what I've seen, a decent ballpark range for most people is that you're going to be in that range of anywhere from like two sets as a minimum. You can have a decent stimulus off one set, but let's say two sets as a minimum, and anywhere like a maximum is going to be eight, and eight is pushing it. So you're talking like 2 to 8 sets for a muscle group in a session. I find a lot of people do better starting off on that lower end, anywhere between 3, 4, 5, 6 sets. So let's say 3 to 6. You start off on the lower end, and then you adjust, and you let your feedback, your training logs feedback to you, and you make adjustments off that. But start on the lower end, and then you've got more room to progress. Instead of if you come in right away and you're hammering away 10 sets per muscle group, you've got nowhere to go, and nobody needs that. Again, I haven't worked with anybody who needs 10 sets for a muscle group in a session. I'll tell you that now, I haven't seen that. There's other variables that we can fix before anyone ever needs that. So what I would do, check your volume numbers, have a look what you're doing, bring your total sets down, make sure everything you do focus on quality over quantity. That is the big thing, right? That's number one. Number two, which again leads in from point number one, is that people are not having enough intensity in the gym with the training sessions and every set that they do. If every set you do, if you put that weight down, and if I had a gun to your head, your life was on the line, and you finish your set, your life was on the line. You could have done 4 or 5 more reps there comfortably. What's the point of that set? If you're doing that consistently across the board, you're leaving 4, 5, 6 reps in the tank. That is not going to give you a decent stimulus for growth whatsoever. You literally just wasted your time. Like, we need to be getting to the point in a set where those reps are really starting to slow down involuntarily towards the end of a set. They're the sets that are going to drive the most mechanical tension, the ones that are really going to grab on to the high threshold motor units. This is what will cause growth. It's these last couple of reps towards failure. So we need to be getting to that point consistently with all of our sets. Do we have to train to failure? That's up for debate, but you need to be getting close to it or training right up to it. Those last couple of reps are where the money is at. So if you're consistently leaving 5, 6 reps in the tank, and then you're doing endless sets, warehouse with 30 sets, and you're leaving 5 reps in the tank, can you see how that goes hand in hand, where people just do too much shite, too much work with not enough intensity? Where if you fix this, you fix your intensity, you make sure every set is quality, all of a sudden set quality goes up, total set numbers and volume comes down because everything is that more stimulative. So they're the two massive things that I see with everybody that comes to me. Majority of people that comes to me are doing too much work, and what I see in the gym, right? So, it takes me on to the final point. A big mistake that people make is, it may sound simple, people are just not patient enough with the programming. You program hopping every other week, every 6 weeks, you see a new program online from your favorite coach or your influencer. You see a new exercise that you might see on the internet, and you're bringing that in. You're not patient enough with the setup that you're running. I've got exercises that I've been running for, let's say, 18 months, 2 years. I haven't changed anything. I've just kept slowly progressing them and hammering away at them and becoming an expert at them and building your expertise and your precision with movements. Because the longer you do movements and you stick with them and you keep them in, the more precise you can be, the better you can hone in on that stimulus, because your neurological efficiency with the movements, it started off here, but each week you've just got so much better. So the stimulus that you can provide is much more potent the longer you stick with an exercise. If you're always chopping and changing things, your ability to drive the best stimulus as possible, it's going to be diminished at a certain point. That's why we progress things over a long period of time. Don't change your program all the time, because you're ultimately shooting yourself in the foot. Now, in terms of rate of progression, what's normal to expect? Again, it's all going to depend on your level of experience and where you're at. Beginners, anyone who's new to the gym and maybe 0 to 12 months, in that first year of training, you might see weekly progressions each week. You might be able to add a little bit more weight. You might get an extra rep. Each week, it's pretty feasible to see that in your first year of training. Once you start to get a little bit of training experience under your belt, let's say you're anywhere from 1 to 5 years of training experience, you're the so-called intermediate. Once you start getting to that stage, you're not going to progress every week. Sometimes it can take 2-3 weeks to maybe add a little bit of weight to a lift, a little bit of an extra rep on a movement. It might take a couple of weeks. Never mind when you're advanced. If you've been doing this for a decade plus and you've really been hammering away, you're not going to see progress week to week. It might even take you upwards of 3, 4, 5 weeks to add a rep, add a 2.5 kilo. And this is the nature of the beast. This is the name of the game. But you have to just be patient. Stop changing your training all the time because you're not seeing a progression week to week. It's normal. Stick with it. Allow the body to go through the cycles of stimulus, recovery, adaptation. That's what we need. That's why we stick with the same movements. Get better at a good, similar batch of movements for a long time. Progress them. Be patient. And you're going to be so much far ahead than all of your peers and these people who are constantly chopping and changing, looking for the magical bullet which doesn't exist. Just get a good setup and stick with it and hammer it into the ground for as long as possible. And that's what is ultimately going to get you the best results. But it's not fancy to tell people that, but that's what you need. That's what works. So you have to toss up. Do you want results, or do you want to be entertained all the time with flashy new exercises and changing programming week to week, which is all bullshit? If you want results, you stick with the same thing for a long time and you get better at it. And that's the reality of it, right? But there's 3 tips or three big mistakes as well that I see people making a lot. If you implement these and you listen to it, your training is going to be so much more efficient and so much more better than what it might be potentially right now. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If anyone has any questions, anything you'd like me to address in future videos, let me know. Just drop any questions down below. Give the video a like, and I'll talk to you all in the next one.